Welcome to the All Trades Jack channel. I'm your host, Jack Sins, and this is episode 437 of Spinal Chats, a show where we talk exclusively about Spinal Tap and Spinal Tap related doings. Now, admittedly, it's been a long road where there hasn't been much to report on, but man, have we been eating good in the Spinal Tap sphere here recently. Now, most of you probably already know some of the news, but I doubt any of you know everything that I have to share with you today. So if you want to stay tapped in, stay tuned. Now, obviously, there's the new Spinal Tap film, which comes out on September 12th. We all know that's happening, and we're bought up on the pre-sale tickets. Of course, we're going to sell out every single theater. We're going to show our love and support for Spinal Tap in theaters. But of course, that's just one thing that's going on. That's the basic normie level stuff that's going on. Everyone knows about the new film. Now, if you don't know about the new film for some reason, let me explain to you. The new Spinal Tap film tells the story of the legendary band's unprecedented return to form and their final show in New Orleans. However, the film does not include the events which directly followed the band's reunion, where they decided to use their momentum and their newly revitalized platform to shine a big, bright light on a lot of other forgotten names of music, legends of the game who maybe don't get a lot of attention, people who kind of fall into that same category of Spinal Tap where people forget they exist or they think that they don't exist. They just completely forget about them. So on September 13th, the day after the film's release, Spinal Tap will headline a one-day, 3-stage mega festival, the size and scope of which boggles the mind. We heard nothing about this in the weeks leading up to the film. We knew the film was coming out. Obviously, we've talked about it on the show. We've been following the production. But we didn't know that this show was happening. We even knew about the New Orleans show. We reported on that a while back, but we had no idea about this. This was creeping up in the shadows. So it really is a little out there that this is happening. And when I first saw it, I thought this is probably bullcrap. This isn't real. There's no way that this is real. But we now have confirmation of the news in the form of a stinger reel and a poster. Now we're going to start with the stinger reel. I haven't seen this yet, so I'll watch it with you all. I'll try to keep my comments to myself so that we can all watch it together, and then I'll come back and we'll talk about it on the other side. Okay, that's wild. Now this boggles the mind. Like I said, this is really soon, September 13th. They're whipping this together, 3 stages. Now we got a lot of stuff there. We had a lot of artists there. Obviously, the top ones we saw: Spinal Tap, of course, Infant Sorrow, Steel Dragon, both good gets. The Wonders confuses me. I wonder how they're going to do that. That seems weird. They only have like 2 surviving members, but we'll talk about that. There was a lot of other bands they listed at the end. I caught a couple of them, but let's look at the poster. So here we go. Here's the poster. I'm going to zoom in a little bit on this. Yeah, so there's names on the poster that we didn't see. Big names. Look at that. Blue Jean Committee is right there at the top of the poster. They weren't in the video. I didn't see Death Clock. I didn't see them in there either. That's interesting. So this must, this is very slapdash. It seems like they're putting this together pretty quickly. Maybe they made the stinger before they had Blue Jean Committee on board. That's not surprising. Anyone who knows Blue Jean Committee knows that It's impossible to get those two guys in a room together. We'll talk more about the individual bands here in a second, but we actually know a lot more about this show than has just been officially released. Officially, we have this stinger and the poster, and we can learn a lot from those, but we also have some inside information. So let's take a look back through the video. I'm going to play it back, and we're going to look at a couple of parts of it, see what we see here. Right, so right away they're making a big deal of the Stonehenge of it all, which I get, you know, that makes a lot of sense. Of course you're gonna make a big deal of the Stonehenge thing of it, but there's no way they're all playing there, right? 30 plus bands, and they said 3 stages, so we're gonna have to look in further about where exactly these 3 stages are. But let's keep watching this here. Yeah, of course, Spinal Tap, Steel Dragon, we know that. That was on the poster too, and Kinsara was on the poster. And then, yeah, this one... Okay, so for those of you who don't know, the Wonders, they're a band way back in the day. Like, people often compare them to the Ruddles. They're very similar to the Ruddles in a lot of ways. One of the ways they're similar is that they've lost most of the members of their band over time. They broke up way back in the day. And the only people left are Shades, the drummer, and Wolfman. And Wolfman, he's not even the original bassist. That's like they replaced him, you know. But it doesn't matter. The Wonders are on here. That's just such a weird one. I'd like to see how they're gonna do that. Let's keep watching. Yeah, 13th. God, so soon. 3 stages. Yeah, 100,000 fans. So yeah, you can't cram 100,000 fans around Stonehenge. It's not gonna happen. So. There's 3 stages. I wonder what we're talking about. More than 30 bands and performing artists is what. Yeah. And one other special tribute to the greatest rock and roller in history. So they're doing something for Dewey Cox. It looks like Dewey Cox has something special going on. I don't know what that is, but it's a special performance. Obviously, it's not Dewey Cox performing. That guy's been dead for like 15 years or something like that. I don't know. I'm not a big Dewey Cox fan. I mean, I don't think he's the greatest rock and roller. I'm not gonna throw shade on him. I mean, he deserves all the love and praise and everything like that. But I don't really vibe with Dewey Cox. Mostly because he was a piece of shit, ran out on his kids, and trashed hotel rooms everywhere he went, cheated on his wife. Plus, he never once paid for drugs. But let's continue. Yeah, so here we go. I think most of the names that are in the trailer are also on the... Hang on a second, let me look at this again. Most of these look like they are on the poster, but there's a couple that I'm noting here. Lustra? Do you guys remember Lustra? Yeah, Lustra. They are Lustra. I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but they did Scotty Doesn't Know. Scotty doesn't know that Fiona and me do it in my band every Sunday. Yeah, that's Lustra. So that's... I didn't know that they had any other songs. I definitely didn't know they still played. That's crazy. Who else we got on here? Anyone else not on the poster? I don't see anyone else not on the poster. It's interesting that they don't have the same information. There's a couple of things that stand out. Doug and the Beats. Doug and the Beats. That's a wild one. I'm confused. Let's look into this document here that we got and see if we can't make sense of some of this, because there's a supposed leak. And we actually saw this first. This was the first thing that leaked. Was a little site called Indie No released what they said was a set list of headliners for 3 stages for a mega festival being headlined by Spinal Tap. Now, when we saw that, obviously, we thought that it was bunk. But now that we have the official trailer, it adds some weight to this. Now, you gotta understand, Indie No, they are real hit and miss. You cannot really trust those guys. They're kind of all over the place. But now that we know that at least the show is real, it makes a little more sense. Let's take a look at what they put in here. So they say there are 3 stages, And they've got the locations written for them as well. The Henge stage, the Huish stage, and the Cube. The Henge stage is Hiltshire, obviously, yeah. The Huish stage is Yeovil. Huish. What is Huish? Is that a stadium? Is that a football stadium? What is that? Anyway, wherever Yeovil is, I think that's got to be close to Stonehenge, right? They've got to be kind of close. I don't know. We'll look it up here in a little bit. They've got to be somewhere near each other. They wouldn't just put them in random place. But this isn't a totally other place. Then the Cube says Salisbury, Meckenhill. What's Meckenhill? Is that a town? Or is that a stadium? What's Meckenhill? Chat, what is Meckenhill? We'll look it up here in a bit. So we have the Cube, the Huish stage, and the Henge stage. These are the three stages. They seem to be a good distance apart. It looks like the Cube is going to be about 20 or 30 minutes from the main stage, and then the Huish stage is like an hour away. So it looks like we're gonna have to pick and choose which acts we want to go see. Now, I'm only seeing a few names associated to each stage, and we have a lot of other names that were on the poster and in the teaser reel, so I don't know. I'm just gonna go down and see what we've got. So for the Henge stage, they've only got 4 bands listed, and it kind of makes sense. Yeah, Dewey Cox Tribute, the Ruddles, the Blue Jean Committee. So those 3, and then assuming Spinal Tap. Spinal Tap's probably also, if they're headlining, they got to be playing the Henge, right? So this kind of makes sense. These would all be smaller gatherings. You wouldn't want to flood 100,000 people on Stonehenge itself. So if there is an outdoor stage at Henge, it makes sense to get these artists. The Ruddles, again, this is a band that, they also only have 2 original members. Barry Wham and Dirk McQuigley are the only remaining members of the Ruddles. There's Leppo. I guess they could get Leppo to come and sub in, but they're still down a guy, so I don't know what they're gonna do about that. But so it makes sense. Yeah, the Ruddles, the Dewey Cox Tribute. I don't know what that's gonna be. I'm really excited to see who's gonna be performing for the Dewey Cox Tribute. Maybe it'll be various other people who are already on the bill. Who knows? Maybe that's why they were able to get some of the people they were able to get. Who knows? We'll have to keep an eye on it. And by the way, subscribe, because we're going to be following this story like crazy. We post about 5 to 7 strictly related to Spinal Tap videos a week. So that's not including short form content. We make a lot of Spinal Tap content around here. So subscribe. If you're going to get answers to these questions if you subscribe. We will, trust me, I'm going to get to the bottom of all of this. Trust that. Blue Jean Committee is being on Henge stage also makes sense. I wonder how this worked out. I wonder if I'm assuming Clark is probably who they wrangled in, because the money. Clark can't stay away from the money. So I'm sure he saw this opportunity as an opportunity to brand, an opportunity to make a quick buck, and he's probably dragging Gene Allen alongside him. But you know what? I'm glad to see it. There's a lot of tension between those two. The last time they were on stage together, it was kind of sweet. It was kind of nice. So who knows? Maybe this will be good for them. Anyway, so what do we have? Anything else on Henge? That's all we have for Henge stage. So maybe they're keeping it small. Maybe they're keeping it low key on Henge stage, and the other stages is where the big stuff is going down. In fact, it looks like the Huish stage is what I would actually call the main stage. I mean, look at these names. I mean, those other names, don't get me wrong. Blue Jean Committee, legendary. Spinal Tap, legendary. But they are kind of like, they are niche. They are like, we are like very occult fans. That's not like that's something that everybody knows and listens to still. But like Hannah Montana is going to be on the Huish stage. So, I mean, she's still a huge pop star, and a movie star and all that other stuff. Like, so Hannah Montana is going to be there. That's pretty big. All This Snow is going to be there. I think he's actually there as Infant Sorrow. This is what it says, Infant Sorrow / All This Snow. So I don't know what that means. I guess I don't know if Infant Sorrow are back together or if it's just they're coming to play with all this, and who knows. These are all questions we will get to the bottom of. Subscribe, you will get the answers over time. Here's another good question of who's going to be the singer. Steel Dragon. Who in the Stinger they showed Izzy. They showed Chris Izzy Cole, but that guy hasn't been the singer in almost 20 years. That was forever ago. Bobby Beers came back for a reunion show at the 30th, but I don't know. That was like a one-time thing, so maybe he'd come back for another one-time thing. I doubt it's Chris, but they put Chris in the Stinger, so I don't know. Maybe they're just I don't know, just going with what people will most remember. I don't know, but it's interesting. Stillwater, that's a cool one. It's gonna be on Whoish stage. Style Boys, that's great. I'm so happy that Connor and Owen made up, because this newest era of Style Boys has been absolutely insane. I find myself me, I'm a pure 80s metal head. I listen to nothing but Spinal Tap and Anvil most days of the week, but Style Boys, that really cracks my heart outer shell, really brings out my inner softy. I can't think about it too much. I'll get teary-eyed. But anyway, the only other act that they have listed for the Hewish stage seems to be Sex Bob-omb, which that's going to be great. I've never seen Sex Bob-omb. I've always wanted to. I hear they put on a good show. Don't take it the wrong way. I've always wanted to see them, but I'm not going to faint at the sight of them or something. That would be a little extra. But no, this looks like a solid lineup. But again, there's more bands than we have assigned, so let's see who's playing the Cube. The Cube, so it's Salisbury Meccan Hill stage is called the Cube. Now what this is, okay, so this is interesting. So the Cube seems to be something that they are building in Meccan Hill football stadium. The football club, the local football club there, they're converting the 5,000 seat stadium into a 10,000 seat viewing area. So they're opening up the grass and they're building a cube. It looks like a big plasticine type cube. So they originally hired Digital Domain to design the cube. Now, if you guys don't know Digital Domain, they did the Tupac holograms. That was them. They obviously do a lot of other stuff than that, but I think that was probably the most famous thing you would know them for. They did the Tupac tour. So it makes sense that they would be brought in for something like this, but it looks like they actually were replaced by some Swedish architectural collective called Sven. I have no idea what that is. What is Sven? Architectural collective. Looks like all the members' names are Sven. Are they Sven because they're in the collective, or they? You know what? I don't have time to look into this. We'll look into this later. Suffice to say, it's some big techie cube. It's got laser light display. It's supposed to be like the volume. Have you seen the volume? It's what they make the new Star Wars and Marvel movies in, where they project everything onto the walls, the LED screens. It seems to be some sort of combination of holograms and the volume to make some sort of cube stage. And the headliner looks to be Death Clock, which is, if you're gonna have a hologram stage, who else would you get other than Death Clock to lead it? Oh, wait a second. This is troubling. Guys, the Wonders are playing in the cube. So I was saying earlier that Shades and Wolfman are the only members left. Now, the right thing for them to have done would have been to go play the Hedge, do something low-key unplugged, but they're going to do the cube, which makes me worry. Because if the cube is being used to make two-dimensional characters able to perform live for us, how are the Wonders going to use it? If they're about to use some digital trickery to bring back their dead members, oh man, I don't know. That's questionable. That's real questionable. Oh, but here's good news. Powerline. Powerline's going to be playing the cube. You guys remember Powerline? Stand out above the crowd, even if you gotta shout out loud. You know the one, Powerline. Yeah, man, that was a tune. That takes me way back to my like young days when I was like a little kid, like a little goofy ass kid. Speaking of being a goofy ass kid, School of Rock is gonna be there. The School of Rock band's gonna be there. But I don't know. This again is a good question. They're doing it in the Cube, so is it gonna be a digital School of Rock? Is it gonna be like AI recreations of them as kids, or is it gonna be Dewey Finn with a new batch of kids, or are they coming back as adults? You know, because no offense, but I don't know if I want to see that. Like, you know, I don't know. That just seems sad and desperate. It's like Draco Malfoy going back to Hogwarts. You know, I just don't know. It just seems maybe they are doing the digital kids. That's probably the best way to do it. Josie and the Pussycats. That's another one. They have options. They could have done a digital version. They could have done an in-person version. They're versatile, so that makes sense for the Cube. Here's another questionable one. Okay, so I'm really starting to worry about this because when I first saw this, I was like, how are all these bands coming back? How is The Wonders coming back? How are, these bands with members who are dead and retired and hate each other, how are they all coming back for this night? And now that I'm seeing this Cube element, I'm starting to worry because one of the last bands that they have listed in the Cube that we haven't gone over yet is Pop. Now, if you don't remember Pop, I'm not surprised. If you're watching this channel, you probably are a metalhead like me and you don't listen to Pop. But Pop, P-O-P exclamation point, was a pop band from back in the 80s, a pop duet, Alex and Colin. And they wrote that song, thought I'm never gonna lose my head, but then pop goes my heart. You know the one. Anyway, they have not been in a room together for like 30 fucking years. So what is this? Like, is it going to be Alex with a hologram Colin? Is it be Colin with a hologram Alex? I think it's more likely that Alex would do it with a hologram Colin. Colin's fine. His career is fine. Yeah. Maybe it's both of them are holograms. That's best case scenario, is that they're both holograms. I would be really upset to see if Alex regressed to the point of doing Pop with a hologram Colin. That would be so sad. But that's all of the official ones we have. And how official is this? Because again, this is coming from Indie No. Now this, credit where credit is due, they got the scoop before anybody else. They knew that the show was happening. So who knows if this is right? Again, there's stuff on here. We don't know which one's more accurate. Is the video more accurate? Is the poster more accurate? Because we have certain bands that are on one but not the other, and vice versa. So I don't know. This is something to work with, though. It's something to look into. I'm personally pretty hyped for Tap Fest 2025. I don't know. It's interesting that they put the 2025 in there. Are they gonna do more than one Tap Fest? I don't know. I don't know if it's sustainable. I think it's a really good idea if they can pull it off, but I just don't know how they're going to pull it off. Let's look at some of the bands that we haven't got placed yet, because the poster has a bunch of names on it that we didn't see in the set list. So who have we got? Finger to Ann and the Modal Nodes. I love the Modal Nodes. If you guys don't know Frigga to Ann and the Modal Nodes, you've probably heard their song. It's like, you know the one. It's real catchy. It'll get stuck in your head. That's a good get. I would be willing to bet they have to be in the Cube. Just off a guess, for reasons. Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem. Oh, that's an interesting one, because they could go anywhere, right? They could go in the Cube, or they could go main stage. Really, they could go to the Henge. Honestly, they could do Unplugged. I believe in them. Never doubt a Muppet. Wild Stallions. Ooh, that should be interesting. You know what the great thing about seeing Wild Stallions is I've seen Wild Stallions like 3 times now. And every time I've seen them, they were at a different point in their timeline. Like, I saw them as old guys, and then I saw them again, and they were teenagers, because they just be jumping all around the place in their timeline, and you just never know when you're going to catch them. So I'll be interested to see which Bill and Ted shows up. That'll be interesting. The Angry Inch. And it doesn't say Hedwig in the Angry Inch, so I'm assuming it's going to be Yitzhak. Yeah, honestly, I've never seen the Angry Inch with the Itzhak. That should be interesting. And I doubt that it's Hedwig. They would say Hedwig in the Angry Inch if Hedwig was going to be there. You know, that ego, yeah, definitely. Who else we got? Crucial Taunt. Not a big Crucial Taunt fan. Ming T. Oh, who's Ming T? Do they do that BBC One song? BBC One, BBC Two. Is that Ming T? I think so. Yeah, Lone Rangers. Okay, this is another one. This has got to be Cube, right? This has got to be the Cube because Pip's still on parole and Rex is doing hard time. So I don't see Lone Rangers. Oh, unless Chaz is going solo but still calling it Lone Rangers. I don't know. This could be a Cube situation. I'm really interested to see what the Cube is like and how well they pull it off. And because it seems like they're going to have to lean on it pretty hard. I mean, Doug and the Beats. Come on, like that's definitely gonna be in the Cube, right? How else could you do it? I don't know. There's two other names here. Otis Day and the Knights. I don't really know them. That's an oldies band, I think. I'm not really familiar with them. That's real old. That's like I don't even know. Well, it's not older than the Wonders, but you know, it's still pretty old. And then the Weird Sisters. You know, I've tried to go see the Weird Sisters like 3 or 4 times, and it's always in some weird back alley bar, and every time I try to get there, I get all turned around and end up back where I started. I swear, every time I've tried to see them, this has happened, like 4 different times, and my other friends have no problem. I have a couple of friends who've seen them multiple times, and they had a great time. I really wanted to go, and I just couldn't find the damn place. This happened every time. It's very bizarre. Anyway, so is that all the names we have here? Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot of bands, and it says more to be announced. So I guess that leaves us here for the time being. We'll come back and revisit this as we get more news. But get down in the comments and let me know what you're thinking about this. Are you hyped? Are you gonna go to TapFest 2025? Are you going to try to make it out there? And if so, what stage are you trying to go to? Because if you can't go to all of them, which one would you want to go to? Would you want to see the Henge, the Henge performances? I mean, that's going to be really intimate, I feel like. Really intimate and really legendary. I feel like that's going to be one of those that you will really want to remember. But the Hewish stage, man, I don't know. Steel Dragon, Infant Sorrow, and Hannah Montana all in one place? You guys know me. I got a soft spot for Hannah Montana. Like, come at me if you want to, but I will die on this hill. I would definitely go see the Hewish stage. But then you got to make it for Spinal Tap. I'm assuming Spinal Tap is going to play late at night, and if they're 30 minutes apart, I could see Hannah and then jetty across and go see Spinal Tap. That's doable. But I don't know. If I have to choose between seeing Steel Dragon and Spinal Tap, it's Spinal Tap. And Infant Sorrow and Spinal Tap, it's Spinal Tap. Hannah Montana and Spinal Tap, I'm going to have to flip my lucky coin or something. I don't know, guys. That's going to be a tough one. This is going to be a tough one. But, yeah, who are you wanting to see? Which stage would you want to visit? And honestly, who else do you think should be here? Is there somebody who should be here who's not? Like, there's a lot of great bands that we don't see here. A lot of great bands who definitely still exist and always have, and deserve more attention. So who's your favorite band that still exists and always has that you think should be in this year's TapFest? I say this year because they said 2025. Who knows if there's a 2026? But, you know, I'm being hopeful already. I'm already want more than I got. Give a mouse a cookie or whatever it is. Yeah, I'm salivating for this. I want more. I want more. So let's talk about it. We'll be back next week to have our regular podcast, the regular, we'll get the squad together and we'll all talk about what we've done in our Spinal Tap adventures for the week. But I'll be back probably tomorrow, the next day, and the day after that, all back to back, just because, you know me, I post about Spinal Tap every day. I can't help myself. There's always something to talk about, even if there's no news, just going back to old lyrics and making new revelations like Love Pump, There's so much to say about Love Pump. that, you know what, this isn't the time for it. We'll talk about that tomorrow. There's so many things I still have to talk about Spinal Tap that I just, the love pump is his cock. Do you understand? Anyway, we'll get back to this later, and as we get more news about Tap Fest, you will be the first ones to know. You know me, I'm always on top of it. I stay tapped in, and if you want to stay tapped in as well, just come back next time, subscribe. I'll be right here, same bad time, same bad place. Catch you then.